Hello everyone and welcome back to Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. So today we're going to be reviewing Barrell Bourbon Batch 29. Now this one comes in at 115.88 proof and consists of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana bourbons. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a breakdown of what is put into this blend. So it starts with a 6 and 7 year rye-grain Kentucky bourbon, a 9 and 10 year wheated bourbon, and a 6, 14, and 6 year Tennessee bourbon. Now, I've actually had this sample sitting around for a little while now and just now getting into it. So guys, without further ado, let's go. All right, guys, welcome back. So I'm always really excited to see what Barrell has in store. They, in my opinion, have some of the best blends in the industry, hands down. Some of their stuff is so unique and different from what's currently out there. But I'm really excited to get into this one, guys. So let's go ahead and get into the nose. Yeah, picking up a lot of fruitiness from the start, just right from the start. Very, this one's actually very dense on the nose. It actually has a lot going on. You do get some of those mineral notes from those Tennessee bourbons. Again, very fruity influence on the nose. Picking up some pear, some apple. Definitely some spices in there too, some cinnamon. It's actually a little bit of a floral note to it, more towards like a little closer to the glass. I'm not really big on floral notes in bourbons or ryes, but yeah, a lot of fruitiness though. Again, those those Tennessee bourbons tend to have that effect. Yeah, lots of pear, apple, I said cinnamon. Maybe a small hint of clove in there too. Very muted. All right, guys, get into the palate. Cheers. Actually, it really drinks like it's 118 proof. Definitely spicy. An initial burst of spice. Could be, it could be that proof. But a very big burst of spiciness, fruitiness that kind of goes from the front to the middle of the palate. Now, there's a lot of different flavors coming off in this one. Nothing that really stands out. Again, you do get those notes from the Tennessee bourbons. Again, that fruitiness, but there is a mild complexity here. I do get, again, just flavors that are kind of I'm picking up all over the place. The citrus notes, a lot of baking spices on this one. Definitely some clove in there, and on the back end there's just like a really little bit of a chocolate note, like a milk chocolate note towards the finish, and into the back. Again, very different. Again, Barrell tends to be able to do that with how they blend things. They spend a lot of time blending. Let's go ahead and get a second sip. Yeah, so one of the things I noticed on this one is the finish is very, it comes and it goes by really quick. But what I do like about it is that initial burst of fruitiness and spice that kind of dominates the palate, and that kind of sits there a little bit, but the finish just isn't long enough for me. Again, that fruitiness and that spiciness is really kind of like blending together on my palate. Again, nothing that's very dominant. but there is those notes from the Tennessee bourbon, which bringing out that fruitiness on the palate. Getting a little bit of like a little bit of a cherry there on the mid palate. Some, like I said, some cinnamon in there, maybe a little bit of brown sugar. Then into the finish, slight bit of pepper with like a hint of like a milk chocolatey finish into the back. That's probably the best part that I like is the finish on this one. It's just not long enough for me. It's in and out. Let's get into the last sip, guys. Cheers. So one thing I will say about this is all three sips were very consistent. They all have the fruit burst. They all have the spice burst. It definitely makes your mouth water from the start, and I think that's that initial burst of spice. It's 118 proof. Doesn't typically do that for me, but I think it could be some of those maybe some of those high rye bourbons that are in there that kind of are adding some of that spiciness to the palate. Again, you know, fruity on the front of the palate. There's those citrus notes. I'm really not picking up anything that's very dominant. Middle of the palate, you know, you got that cinnamon. There's a little bit of like a cherry note that sits there on the middle of the palate with that cinnamon. And then to the finish again, you get that pepper and then that slight hint of like a milk chocolate, and then it goes away. Overall thoughts on this one, you know, compared to batch 28 and 27, I wouldn't say that this one lives up to either one of them. You know, batch 27 was probably one of my favorite standard release batches from Barrell. 28 fell shortly behind number 27. I think this falls behind number 28. Again, overall, it is very, you know, it does have a lot going on. Not going to say it's overly complex. It does have some complexity to it. You know, there's a lot of fruit. There's a lot of spiciness. There's a lot of kind of off character flavors that kind of pop into there. Like I said, the milk chocolate, the pepper, a cherry, which I don't typically get a lot off of Barrell. But again, you know, overall, you know, a pretty good batch 29 from Barrell. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I want to send a big thank you to Aaron over at Robro Marketing for supplying me with the sample to review on the channel. Again, guys, Barrell puts out a lot of different, very unique blends. In my opinion, I think they're one of the best at it, you know, hands down. So if you guys are looking for more reviews like this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You can also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. And until next time, guys, stay dusty.